So, welcome to day one live session of the Ultimate AI Content Machine. Frank is someone who is I would say, a very popular OG name in the world of marketing and sales. And he's been partnering up with us on several projects, actually. And it's been pretty cool and a great privilege to work with you, Frank. If you want to do a quick intro about what you're working on right now, give us your a 2-3 minute story of what's happening in 2023.
Well, I'll try to keep it even less than that because I'm pretty sure you guys don't care about me as much as you care about getting what you want. So I started selling stuff online in 1999. It was very difficult. I'd made a lot of mistakes and did horribly. Finally, started having success selling dog training audio recordings. I know this is before it was easy to make videos and stuff, and grew that business to, I had some $100,000 months. It sounds cooler if I say to $100,000 a month, but it wasn't always 100 grand a month. And then I sold it. And when I did that, I figured I had enough street cred, AKA legitimate experience, to start helping other online entrepreneurs actually sell things online. So ever since then, 2000, whatever it was, 5 or 6 or something, that's all I've done is just help other entrepreneurs get what they want. And the thing I've been really mainly obsessed with now is the same thing I've always been obsessed with, which is following up with leads that you get using advertising or content. And right now, what we're really seeing is a unique opportunity for content marketing to work very, very well, especially because there's AI. So that's what we'll be talking about. And hopefully, I hope you get some results here. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited for this workshop to start. And if you look in the chat in the Zoom, there is a link there to the Facebook group streaming. So all the interactions and chat, we'd like to keep it in the Facebook group if y'all don't mind, because we can have it's saved for later. Where if we interact in the Zoom, it usually is not saved. So click on that link. If you don't have access to the Facebook group, Ethan and some of our community team members will look at your request and they'll add you to it. But Frank, let's get started on setting the agenda for the 3-day workshop. Help us understand what we will go over today and maybe possibly a little bit of tomorrow and day 3. And let's get started with day 1.
Cool. All right. So what we'll do today is I'll give you the big picture and some examples and one like really, really easy assignment. And I'm going to keep that really easy, not because I think you're not capable of doing something more complicated. That's just human nature. We tend to overthink things. I'm going to try to make that impossible. So we'll do that today. Tomorrow, we're going to use High Levels AI Writer to take the one thing that we come up with today, which is like 2 sentences, and turn that into a single social media post that follows a certain framework and certain set of guidelines. So I'll show you that tomorrow. And then on our final day, we'll use ads and automation to start turning that post and others like it into leads and sales. So that's our mission. And this is all using content and like using the old demonstrate you can help people by actually helping them trick, which I'm a big fan of. It's one
I
of my
love
favorite
that.
tricks ever. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I think the buzzword of AI, it's been running around for quite some time, and it's really cool to like now put it into practical applications of building something and integrating it into the business. And those of you that are joining the workshop, our intention is to get the ball rolling for you. You're not going to come in and code up your massive AI system for your entire business, but we will get the ball rolling for you, at least at a minimalistic level. And Frank's going to do a very simple approach in a lot of this. So let's get started, Frank.
That's cool with me. All right. So what we're going to work on over the next 3 days, essentially, like if we were to use a boxing or fighting metaphor, I'm going to show you how to hit really, really, really hard. And that's kind of the most important thing, other than not getting hit yourself. And we can worry about like all the fancy stuff that Bruce Lee did later. But this is like, if we were to take the 80-20 rule and apply it to content marketing and AI and stuff, this is where the most leverage is going to be. Okay. And the stuff that I show you. So here's the very, very concise title Here is how to build an awesome brand, help a lot of people, and sell a lot of stuff by giving away free content using social media and AI. Like to get wordy there. So let's get down on it. Of course, my space button doesn't want to work. There we go. All right. So here's what we're going to do. And here's how this works. We know that content marketing works. And I have see Google in parentheses there. So if you like just want to know for yourself, just type in, does content marketing work on Google, and then read the results, and you can see it's pretty well accepted fact that it works pretty good. We also know, and this is really a matter of opinion, but you're likely to agree with me, most content marketing kind of sucks, which is good. That it doesn't tell people to do anything, which is great because we want other people's content marketing to continue to be bad. So that's fine. It's typically very generic, which is also very, very helpful because yours won't be. It's also very boring, which is good. Yours won't be. And the most common mistake that you'll see, which we want people to keep doing this. We just don't want to do it, but we want them to do it. Is the content marketer makes the content about themselves. They're more worried about making themselves look good or cool or credible or whatever, and nobody cares about that. The real emphasis of everything we do should be about them, the prospect or the customer. So these are all the problems that are existing in the world of content marketing. These problems and the fact that kind of a pain in the ass to create it because you got to like write it and stuff. And it, it's not as fun as playing Tetris or whatever. So there's that. We do know, and I will prove this to you and give you examples of this. So we know that some content marketing literally built entire businesses, like legacy businesses, and literally changed entire economies for like countries. So I'll give you these specific examples of those exact pieces of content marketing in a minute, but that actually happened. So we know that we got some stuff that works pretty good. We also know that stuff that worked really well didn't have the power of the internet. So it was at a disadvantage, but it still worked really, really well. And we also know that the ads that were used, this specific type of content marketing, it wasn't targeted. It was just shown to people who exist. So they didn't have the targeting options that we do today, and they still work. And we know that the stuff that you're about to see that accomplished all of these things worked in a time where the person who actually saw the content marketing and decided they wanted to do business with the company that produced it, they had to like get off of the sofa and go and physically write something down and mail it to another company in order to do business. And in spite of all of that stuff, these pieces that I'm about to show you worked unbelievably well. So kind of like logic dictates, like, wait a minute, this worked really, really well under very harsh conditions, meaning no targeting. The person had to physically get up and write, back to a company, everything. We know that it worked back then, and we can kind of model it. And now we have the advantage of having AI and social media. So that's our general concept, is to take the structure and concepts that you're about to see, use AI and social media to make a lot of what you're about to see, and get what I call the goodness, which is a lot of goodwill for yourself or for your clients, which therefore leads to people coming to you and wanting to do business with you as a byproduct. It's pretty good deal. So here's what we're going to do today. All right, I'm going to keep it really simple today. We're going to see stuff in a second that literally made billions. Like, this is not an exaggeration. It's obnoxious how well this stuff worked. And we're going to model it as best we can. It was written by incredibly talented people who are way better than me. Thankfully, we don't have to be as good as them, which is good because it's hard to get as good as these folks. And then we're going to get an idea. And the key word right there is idea for one social media post. We don't even have to write the post. We just have to get an idea for one post. All right. So that's what we're going to do today. So it's a lot of lead up to me telling you we're going to get an idea. But that's how I want to do it, just to make sure you get results. All right. So before we begin, I call this the great destroyer. This is what will mess you up if you let it get to you. So let's see if we can run some interference here. And that is our brains. as entrepreneurs and just as normal humans, our brains are very creative and our brains like to throw things in our way. So usually this is what happens. It definitely happens to me. So this might be me just projecting my own BS onto you. But if that's the case, just bear with me and humor me. All right. So I'll show you this stuff. Then it's very normal because I did it to worry that we're going to do it wrong. And that worry basically means I'm worried that I will fail. And that really what that's typically boiling down to is I'm worried that I'll get judged by other people, which is fine. So here's the deal. You will experience temporary failure. Like it's highly unlikely that the first post we make is going to cause you to become a billionaire or something. It's you can almost guarantee that won't happen. So usually what happens is we will do a couple of these things and like it won't be amazing. You won't get flooded with money instantly. And then our brains go, well, this will never work and I'm not going to do it. And that failure is painful. So we don't want to experience pain. And when we're experiencing this fear of failure, we're like, okay, I don't want to experience this pain. So I'm going to put off even just coming up with the idea or making the post. But I feel bad about putting stuff off. So instead, I'm going to ask a whole bunch of what if questions instead of doing anything, because in the moment that I'm asking these what if questions, it feels like I'm actually doing something. All right. And now I don't feel guilty and I'm putting off this thing that I'm afraid of. But in reality, that's actually doing nothing. You're just asking a bunch of what if questions and we're trying to solve problems that have not even happened. So please avoid that. Instead of doing that, just model what I'm about to show you and see what happens. And, give it a little bit of patience. So here's what we absolutely categorically know made a metric boatload of money. That's a real unit of measurement, a boatload, by the way. It's part of the metric system, so we don't pay attention to it. Hang on. This is water, for the record. This is not beer. I learned the hard way to clarify that. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of examples of content marketing that worked. The first one was written by a guy over 70 something years ago. It brought in 3 million leads. It worked so well, they had to turn it off. And another series I'm going to show you, they made for this advertising agency literally billions of dollars. The founder of the advertising agency and the person who came up with this concept for his agency bought a town in France that I thought he just bought a castle, but he actually bought the whole town to retire. And that's how much money it made for them. It was built on the back of these things I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you another example that literally changed the economy of an entire country. That country was Puerto Rico. And there's tons of other pieces like this that I'll show you as well. So let me give you some examples just so you know that this concept is definitely proven and is proven under much more difficult circumstances than we exist in today. So here's the first one. And I believe this to be the first piece of content marketing ever really created. I know it's impossible to read this. And my point isn't for you to read the entire thing. My point is for you to realize that this is a giant 6,000 word article basically answering people's questions about investing in the stock market. And there's a tiny, see the little square there at the bottom right there? There's a tiny little thing that says, hey, if you want more information, then like send a little letter to us.
Yeah, that's like it's like the call to action button down there, huh?
Yeah, they didn't even have that. So this was written, I forgot the year, man. It was, I want to say it was the 30s or something. It was written by this guy named Louis Engel, and he was a junior copywriter for this agency, and he came up with the idea, and it almost never ran. So the short version of this is that one worked well, so they had him write more. And it worked so well that they literally got, this was from Merrill Lynch. There were a small, like regular, down the street company before this ran. After this ran, this brought in 3 million leads. And this is 70 something years ago. And it turned them into a global legacy company. They would not be here today if that little piece of paper didn't run. And they just put it in newspapers. And they had to turn it off. because it brought in too many leads. And then, 20 years later or something, they would come up with new versions of it when they could finally handle all of the leads. This was so well received that people actually wrote them thanking them for publishing the ad. So when was the last time that ever happened? Most people hate ads, but this is the kind of stuff that the public actually thanked people for. So this is our first example of content marketing actually working really well. This is the one that changed Puerto Rico. So long story short, the Minister of Economy or something of Puerto Rico hired Ogilvy and Mather, an ad agency, to attract manufacturers in the United States to come and open factories in Puerto Rico. This is the ad that they created. This is pure content. If you look at this, and you might be able to see what this says on the screen. I'm happy, by the way, to provide a PDF of these slides if people want them. But the point of this is it's very easy to read. It is just pure content. And then there's this tiny little call to action. And people actually had to cut that damn thing out and send it in order for it to work. He wrote several of them, by the way, and it did work. It ended up changing Puerto Rico like forever. It changed their entire economy. It brought so many United States manufacturers down there. So David Ogilvy, who is kind of considered like one of the fathers of modern advertising, he created the series of ads for his agency that modeled that same strategy. So we kind of see a commonality going on here, and I'll point them out in a minute because I don't want to spend forever like showing you these examples. But here's a classic one that he wrote. This just ran in newspapers. Again, a bazillion words and a tiny little call to action. And I'll read it to you. Ogilvy and Mather has developed a separate and specialized body of knowledge on what makes for success in advertising, but this is only available to the clients of Ogilvy and Mather. Here's our address. That was a call. I mean, that's it. So you had to like hunt them down to become it. So they wrote a series of them. Here's another one, same type of call to action, nothing really specific. Here's another one. Here's another one. I think instead of me just going through all of these, my point is this has been proven to work by people that made a lot more money than us under a lot harder conditions than we have. Here's another one by Ogilvy and Mather. Here's another one. So here are some more, just like giving examples. Do you feel the need for me to like hone in on these because they're all following a pattern?
I think what's really cool here, Frank, honestly, I'm just taking a step back and looking at this whole entire event that we're running. I mean, yes, you're inside a high-level virtual workshop that Frank and I are doing over today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. And I feel confidence to tell you that you're going to probably learn a lot more in this session than a standard marketing course at a amazing university. And all to tell you that Frank's teaching style, he loves doing a lot of analogies and teaching and going through a lot of examples. So like Frank, to your question of like, should you hone in? Do your thing, man. Like I really like these examples. I've actually read a lot of the Ogilvy letters and PDFs and articles back when I first started off in the marketing entrepreneur world. And he's these are legends that nobody knows today. These are the guys that built the copy for like Rolls Royces and like all these different like elite brands that you're not going to find in standard textbooks, that you're not going to find unless somebody teaches you. So I'm grateful that you're showing these, real life examples of what happened in the early industrial days, and especially here in the US.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll keep on going with those then. So if we look at them, they all, and I know like it was probably impossible to read them, but again, if it's okay with high level, you're welcome to have the slides for these.
Yes, you can, absolutely. Yeah.
Here's what they all had in common. All right. The company name or author's name was in the headline section of all of the Ogilvy ads. I don't think it was in the very first one, that blew up Merrill Lynch, but it still worked. So we're going to give them a pass on that. But you immediately knew who it was by. All but the Puerto Rico ads were how-to. So every single one of them was a how-to, either directly like how-to, or it was answering a specific question that the audience had. The body copy for all of them was either a series of lists or questions that the reader would naturally have about the topic. All right, super important. And we're going to kind of go deeper into that here in a minute. All of them were very specific, as you will see when you go back, if you choose to, and read the specific actual, ads that I showed you. They gave very specific numbers, specific examples. There's nothing vague, like we're the best. It's like this got a 41.73 response or whatever. Very, very important to do. They all, well, they had a pretty clear call to action. That one that I pointed out was pretty funny from Ogilvy, where like, you can't have this unless you're one of our clients. Here's how to become a client. That was somewhat psychologically funny in my opinion. But for the most part, they had like, here's exactly what to do. Mail this thing to us. Mail. Can you imagine having to mail something? Like, what if our customers had to mail stuff to us? We'd be hosed. They're all made up of very short paragraphs, and each of those short paragraphs are made up of very short sentences. So they're not, novels. They're not the kind of stuff you would write to get an A on a, English literature essay or something like that. And they were actually helpful. And like, that's a big one. So you can kind of like all the other stuff, all the pieces that come before that very last line there, those are less important than the last line. They were all actually helpful to the reader. And if you look at most of the stuff you see on social media these days, it's not really, it might be entertaining, but it doesn't really help anybody. So we have a tremendous opportunity just by actually being helpful. It's pretty great. So here are some newer examples that were not a bazillion years ago that worked, even though they weren't as good. I'm going to breeze through some of these and get to even more recent ones like this. All right. So this thing ran for 10 years in print. All right. And like that is a gazillion years in advertising time. Dude, it is a question and answer type of ad, right? So that it was targeting people whose septic systems were hosed up. And the big question is, what the hell can I do with this? And this is all it is content. And it's got, as you can see, a very short call to action at the end. Go to Septi Cleanse or give us a call and we'll send you some stuff. Amazing. Here's another one. Same type of Q&A style thing. And the reason I'm illustrating this is because these and the Ogilvy ads were answering, and the Lewis Engel ad, the first example I showed you, they were answering a question the reader already had, stuff that they knew their audience was wondering about. In this case, can I fix my loose, saggy neck? I believe my answer is no, I can't. But you can read the ad later, but it's just short content. Here's how to fix it. All right. And then, by the way, if you want some more stuff, you can go here and get it. So here's some more examples of these. These all same offer, same brand. And this is a local type of business. It's just content, right? So these are more recent examples of content. You can see the call to action down here is we exist. For more information, go to our book or call us or email us and get a free consultation. Yeah. So like the little bottom part, the little square and little circle down there, that's all that's saying. It's not even particularly good call to action copy. And that's a bit important, believe it or not. And this type of ad, you don't really want hard hitting good call to action copy. You want it to be very like, hey, by the way, here's, if you want, you have it. Like that. Yeah. And that's important. I don't really know how one would write that in a description. Like, comma, man, you should make it, hey, if you want it, you can have it, period. But that would be in the manual if I were writing a manual about this. So here's how we apply this to your business using the social medias. All right. So we need these 4 things, but these 4 things are important. None of them are hard, but they're important. And I also tricked you earlier. We're going to do one extra thing today besides come up with an idea. I want you to buy something. Yeah, it's not for me. Hang on. But I do want you to buy something that's like $10. So that thing is a memorable domain name. Okay. So you need a domain name that is easy to remember. All right. You need a way to post stuff on social media. High level social scheduler works great. I use it. So you got that. All right. You need a way to capture leads, follow up with them, and accept money. Pretty sure you got that already. It's called high level. It works really, really, really well. And you need patience. All right. So everything I'm going to show you, this isn't an overnight magic, cure, but this is the kind of thing that's like walking around the block for 30 minutes a day. Like if you on day one, not a lot's going to happen. On day like 45, you're going to be like, good Lord, I'm down 15 pounds. This is crazy. Like it's that kind of simplicity, but it's also that level of damn near guaranteed success, really. But it's not overnight. Most stuff isn't overnight. So I'm going to give you a framework right now. It's going to help you come up with ideas for your content. Before I give it to you, understand you don't actually have to say what you're going to come up with here in this framework all the time. We're literally just using it so you'll have an idea of, okay, this is like our guidelines of what we make our content about. But before we do that, let's come up with a memorable domain name. All right. So I want to show you how to do this. Get out of there. Okay.
And by the way, if you are watching this, some of the things that you learn today, you will be able to apply to your business. Maybe you're a consultant, entrepreneur, agency, whatever, like whatever you're doing, as well as to your end clients that you're serving, like a local business or enterprise business or franchise. So think through those lens. I would say first, think about your business, and then we'll dive into how to actually build services around things like this. But keep going, Frank. Memorable domain. I don't want to stop you.
Yeah. All right. So this, to your point, like I'm building this on the like, all right, here's how you can apply it to yours. This works a billion times better in a local market because it's so easy to saturate a local market on social media without spending a lot of money. This also works well globally, but good Lord, if you're doing this for just like people like chiropractors in Denver or something, you're going to win. There's no question. You're definitely going to win. So I'm just going to namecheap.com because they have this cool little tool thingy here. Actually, it's right there on the screen, but just click on this beast mode. And well, here, first of all, I want to show you, we want to set this price from $0 to like $20 right there, not 2000, give or take. All right. We don't want to show the premiums. We want to hide unavailable. And we want to click this little thingy right here. And this is going to add stuff to keywords. All right. So chiropractor, for example. All right. So I'm going to type in chiropractic. Okay. That'll be my keyword. All right. And I'm going to say, okay. It'll put these in front of the word chiropractic. It'll put some of this stuff after it. I'm going to get rid of app. Hub is okay. HQ is okay. Actually, I don't like Hub. I don't like HQ. Let's say news. All right. And okay. So now that we've done that, we have like an idea and we have some ways this thing's going to come up with cool domain names for us. What we do now is we want to select a popular TLD, forgot what that stands for. I'm just going to select .com. All right. And we will generate it. So while this is doing its thing, there we go. Perfect. All right. So the reason we want to do this is because when you make a social post, which we will do tomorrow, if you have an easy to remember domain name, they will ultimately start just typing that domain name in to their browser. And regardless of whether you're telling them to or not, if they see it enough and they associate it with this has the answers to my problem, they will type that damn thing in. Just like if you have a big old pile of trash in your yard and you want someone to come pick it up, you call 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And the reason you call 1-800-GOT-JUNK is because it's easy to remember. And you've seen that number a billion times. And you're like, oh, yeah, I can just call 1-800-GOT-JUNK. So this is that same principle, but this works. This is branding, but we're not branding in a stupid way. We're like doing it smart. So chiropractic labs, perfectly easy to remember. right? So if you had a client who's a chiropractor, that's easy to remember. If you are serving chiropractors, that's easy to remember. Like this is easy to remember. So I would buy this on GoDaddy, Google, or Cloudflare. Is it Flare or Fair? I always mess
I think
that
it's
up.
Flair. I think it's Flair with the L.
Yeah. And like, I don't care who you buy it from, but if you buy it from one of those three, you can integrate it with high level by clicking one button instead of having to do techie stuff. So that's why I'm suggesting you buy it. So this is how you find an easy to remember domain name and buy it from any of those three that you choose, because it will integrate with high level by clicking a single button and you don't have to do anything hard. All right. So now let me go to your framework for you. Okay. But that easy to remember domain name is key.
Now,
So,
real quick, Frank. So, like, what I think I'm understanding what you're saying pretty well here. So, you're saying find a memorable, neutral domain name that you can use over and over again for a certain crowd. So, let's say I'm a traditional business owner or agency that have multiple different types of industries that I serve. Should I, like, what if I have chiropractors and automotive and then a dentist and a floral lady? Like, well, how do I go about creating a memorable domain on a more of a wider channel? Like,
well, let's do it. All right. So let us find it here. So a good thing to ask ourselves is, I wonder if this will let me just start over. Maybe so. Is, all right, what is the end result that they want? You know, so let's say it's get customers.
okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
All right. And so we'll leave all of this, or maybe even getting. I'll do that one, and I'll do one more, getting, because that's what those folks are probably interested in. All right. And you're serving a variety of different markets. So from the content marketing standpoint, we don't want to have like 20 million different domain names and try to do like all of this different
So,
stuff. We want everything funneling into one.
yeah,
And I've created the funnel for you already. You can have it. So
that's right.
it's much easier this way.
We got a
So
ton
we'll
of
click on.
we got a ton of goodies. Just so you all know that Frank and his team already built out. That's already proven. I know some of these funnels are actually live as well in Frank's businesses and brands. So excited to tell you that if you stay through the end of these sessions, you're going to be able to get those bonuses. So Frank, real quick,
Here they
let's
are,
say
by the
we're
way. Like this is what it came
got
up
it.
with.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying use a parent domain of some kind that you can use almost like universally if you are going after multiple industries.
Yeah, you
Okay.
want it to be very memorable. That's the trick. So yours might already be memorable. I don't know. So if someone already has one, I was like, okay, what we want to avoid is like the single greatest marketing company in Dallas, Texas ever .biz, right? Like that's going to be very hard for someone to remember. So
Never
this
have I
will be
seen that.
something. It was something like easy to remember. That's all, because it's getcustomers.com. That works. Try getcustomers.com, getcustomerslabs.com. We could even try it again, remove the S there. But you see, like, I wouldn't overthink this. It's like, just pick one. It's not,
Sure.
I mean, it costs whatever, $10 or something from GoDaddy. So it's not a hard thing, but you do need it, because as we go and we create this stuff, you'll see there's a little formula, and that formula is always showing the domain name to people. And the mere that repetition, there's a reason Coca-Cola spends billions of dollars to say Coca-Cola exists. Like, it's because ultimately that works. We don't want to do anything that basic and dumb. We want to provide like value in that process, but still, you want to have that easy to remember domain name for them to go to. So what I'm about to show you is this framework, but you don't have to like always write this. This is just to think of this as like the guidelines to help you stay on brand with all of the content that you're creating, because we're creating the content for a reason. And the reason is to attract customers where you can solve their problem. And we want to demonstrate that you're able to solve that problem. So here is our framework. Again, we don't have to write this in every post. It's just
More of a
our
structure to
guidelines.
remember. It's more of a
Yeah,
structure.
structure to remember. All right. So I help specific market. I'll give you two examples in a minute. I help specific market who are experiencing bad stuff get the opposite of that bad stuff, aka the thing they want, by doing whatever it is you do. All right, so that's like the 4 things. Now, you don't have to perfect this. You don't have to stand up in front of a room and say this. This is just like for a Post-it note that you know what the hell you're always going to be making content about, because it's easy to get distracted. Be like, well, let me make content about something else. Like, don't do that. This is we're always making content that's kind of with these 4 things in mind. So here's an example. All right, I help local HVAC contractors who are trying to grow their businesses get a consistent flow of qualified leads and appointments by making them famous in their market, bringing in the leads who already like them, and booking qualified appointments for them. That's it. All right. And so you don't have to go and say that, but that's just like, so you are clear on what it is you're doing and the overall message that you want them to walk away with over time. Here's another one. All right. I help men over 55 who are trying to get back in shape, lose belly fat, and gain muscle using a simple no diet, gym free method that only takes 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. That's called skip breakfast, put a couple of cinder blocks in a backpack, and walk around 30 minutes. But that's that simple. We want to really keep it that basic. This isn't a copywriting exercise. You don't have to get this perfect. This is for you up here. All right. That's all. You don't share this with the public.
Yeah.
Just so you're clear.
So Frank, let's step back for a quick second. What you're saying is establishing these pillars of who you are and what you do and how exactly you achieve it in the market with your content marketing. So that way, when these prospects actually get on a phone call, handshake, or a meeting, they already know what you're about. You don't have to introduce yourself. They're already pretty much warmed up to who you are and the expertise you have. That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, and this keeps you from wondering, what am I going to say in my content? Like this is the message that you're always wanting to convey, part or all of this, directly or indirectly through the content. So like if this is your thing, right? Let's say you're the person helping men over 55, and one day you're tempted to make a piece of content about TikTok marketing or something, you'll be like, wait, that doesn't fit within this over here. I'm not going to make content about that. I'm going to make content about this because this is what attracts my buyer. So this is literally just meant to be like a set of guardrails for our minds so we cannot veer off the path and start, doing 20 million things.
Yeah, I think that's really important because a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of marketing agencies, consultants, they have this need of like, okay, I have to check the box off that I did something with content on Sundays or Mondays. So then when I go out in the trenches to do sales, I've already checked off that box. What you're saying is having a certain lighthouse or a guideline to how your brand positioning is. And if you stay in those lanes, the market usually won't misunderstand you. Usually the market does because they have multiple messages that are flying around.
Yeah. And this also keeps us from overcomplicating it. And it's like, okay, I know what I'm going to be writing, but I'm writing specifically to dudes over 55 who want to get back in shape. That's who I'm serving. Yeah. Everything needs to be about them, and the questions they have around that. So in this particular example, otherwise, like you said,
loving this so far.
We'll go all over the place, or like at least for me, like I got ADHD, like I got a double dose of it. I think I probably have an extra D and an extra H in there somewhere, so it's really bad for me. So I need this kind of stuff. So like once you have all of this, right? Again, we don't have to repeat this. I think I've beaten that horse into the ground pretty good. So we use that framework to answer this question. All right, and the question is, I meant to make this red. What is a question that your target market, let's say it's to stick with the dudes over 55, the dude over 55 who wants to shed body fat and gain lean muscle, wishes they knew the answer to, so they could either stop feeling tired all the time and gain lean muscle and lose fat, or both. So this is the question we always want to be answering. What is something that your target market wishes they knew the answer to, so they could either stop having the bad stuff, start getting the good stuff, or both? So once we understand what these questions they have are, now we can get an idea of what to make the content about. So we no longer have the burden of trying to make the content about us. We no longer have the burden of trying to look cool. You don't have to rent a jet, or worry about whether or not you graduated college. I didn't. You're perfectly okay to look like a freaking murderer because you are helping them. I wouldn't necessarily recommend looking like a murderer. It can be off-putting to some people, but you get it, right? Everything is now about them. So we figure, all right, what does this person wonder about? What do they wish they knew so they could get out of pain? I wake up, I'm tired every day. I'm fat. I don't like the way I look, whatever. And I wish I could just, look and feel like I did back when I was like 30, or both of those things. That's it. That's our entire life is around this when it comes to content creation. So if only there was a place we could go that would actually tell us the questions they have. And that place is answerthepublic.com. So we can go here and we can actually know what people are asking, right? And hopefully the people wanting to get in keeps showing up in front of me.
I'm sorry, yeah. For
It's
a
not
second, I
messing.
thought you were being sarcastic about Answer the Public. I thought you were saying just Answer the Public. Didn't realize it was a big site that you can just get some trending ideas from.
Yeah, and it's free. Like I think you get 3 searches a day or something, and it's free. So like you might already know. Like chances are you already know your market, but if you don't, we can put things in here like, okay, what's something? Let's see. Um, I'll type in fitness
Yeah, this is
over
interesting because
55.
I had my first agency 2013 through almost 15, 16, and it was in the dental space, very saturated market. And I realized, Frank, that dentists didn't want more patients. That's the truth. They don't want more patients. What they want is more of high ticket patients, right? More of folks that are worth their time. So they want the $25,000 veneers or big cases. So like my statement would be, I help dentists see less patients that are worth more so they can go home in 2 hours. That's literally their biggest pain point. They don't want to sit there for 10 hours working on teeth as much as they love it, which are things and nuances that you don't know unless you go into the market and start studying and surveying them and going to lunches and dinners and shaking hands and understanding who they are. But anyways, let's talk about fitness over 55.
Which I clearly don't know anything about. But you type it in here, all right, and it gives you. Let's see. Let me tell them they can track everything I do for the rest of my life. Okay, great. So they give us all these questions and stuff, and it's like a weird thingy. So I think if we scroll down, how do we get the cool view on it? All right. These are keywords. Let me find the dang questions themselves. Over 55 fitness plan. These are still keywords, though. I'm trying to avoid having to deal with that wheel because it bugs me. All right. This is made by Neil Patel, by the way, who's a genius. So,
Sorry, Frank. I think I might have unmuted you here or muted you. There's a few people that had their audio on. Let me go ahead and unmute you real quick. There you are. Frank, you there? Can you go ahead and unmute yourself? Yeah. I accidentally muted you trying to mute some folks that had just jumped in here. There it is. Okay, cool.
sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. So this thing will give you like data. All right. And let me click on questions here. And damn it, they keep having they want me to upgrade to make it like look less dumb. All right. So can a man over 55 build muscle? All right. So this data, by the way, is coming from stuff that people are actually asking on the interweb. So this service, I have no affiliation with them. I don't care if you give them $1 billion. I'm at answerthepublic.com. I'm on their free version. They go and they figure out what the hell people are asking by analyzing the Google data. So here's a great question. Can a man over 55 build muscle? Here's another one. How to get fit over 55. How much exercise at age 55? All right. So we have all kinds of stuff. I like this one. Can a man over 55 build muscle? All right. I'm going to say no. I'm not 55 yet. I'm going to go ahead and just say no, it's physically impossible. Therefore, no one should expect me to, and I can continue living my sedentary lifestyle. All righty. So now that you have a good idea of what they're asking, like, and you might already know. I mean, chances are you already know, but if you don't, there's this tool that's free that tells you what's on their minds. It's pretty good. So what we want to do now is keep this simple. So please don't overthink this. All right. Especially for today's mission. I keep harping on that because I overthink it. So I'm like, all right, maybe other people do this too. And it's not just me, but don't overanalyze this. You don't have to get it perfect. You can't mess this up. All right. So find any question. You could already like inherently know it. You don't have to go to answer the public. Find the answer. Okay. So there are two ways that I would suggest finding the answer. Number one, your own personal experience. Number two, going to Google and asking the question and reading a couple articles about it. All right. You don't have to like get NASA level research, but that's the most basic, simple way to do it. Find the answer to the question: can men over 55 gain muscle? Great. All right. So now you've done that, write down any stats that you find in your research. All right. And then write a 1 or 2 sentence draft for a social media post. Now, this is important. Don't try to write the whole post because we don't want to write the whole post. We're going to use High Level's AI content writer to write the post for us, but we have to feed it with like a sentence or two. So that sentence or two would be something like Harvard study shows that men over 55 actually can gain whatever percent muscle in 30 days by doing a couple of things or whatever. That's all we want to do. And we'll feed that little 1 or 2 sentences into the AI writer tomorrow. So this is the mission for today, that and buy your memorable domain. All right. Don't worry about where to send the traffic to. Just spend the $10 or whatever with GoDaddy, hook it up to your Go High Level account by pressing a singular button. I've got your pages already built for you, and we can go over those whenever, but just get it while you're thinking about it. All right. That's all you got to do today. That's all we want to do is that. And then we'll start building the content tomorrow. And then the next day we will escalate it and do even more cool stuff. So we're taking little baby steps right now, but
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So for those of you that want to just maybe ask a couple of questions, if you post those questions in the comment section, I'll go through those questions with Frank here over the next 10-15 minutes, and we'll go ahead and go over day 2 agenda as well. And those of you that want some of the bonuses, maybe we have put together a snapshot that includes both the funnels that Frank is giving away, just so you know that just because you're attending the workshop, we have all those links ready for you as well. So yeah, Ethan just posted a link to the Facebook group streaming. So in that streaming, because we want to save questions for later, post your question, and I'm going to go through some of these questions. And as I see those come in, Frank, I've got a couple of questions for us to kind of get started, almost like a Q&A session, if that's okay with you.
I have a preemptive answer too for one that I would want to know.
Yeah.
And that is video or text. Which one should I do? And I've tested this a lot. And I think based on my testing that the written works better than the video, which if anyone's paying attention to my stuff, you're like, but dude, you're doing video all the time. And the reason I'm doing video all the time is because I have decades of old video footage and I can just pay a dude to like turn it into content. And at the end of the content, it does what I'm about to tell you to do tomorrow. But in earlier testing, like actual written content following the framework that I'll show you tomorrow outperformed video.
Yeah.
Go figure, which is great because like it's faster. I just don't feel like doing it, and I just have a guy say, here's the money, go make videos and stuff. But really, oddly enough, the written posts work better.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think every single medium in advertising should be tested to how you present content and how you absorb content. And these are delicate things that agencies and professionals and business owners don't really think about. They're like, well, I just need to have something out there, and I'm gonna hope for the best is usually the strategy. Or some folks just flood the market with a lot of different content, and they don't really have a testing criteria. And you can also see that it's just like they're like throwing up to the market left and right, and you can tell there's not a single focus, and they have mixed messages out there. Frank, what are a couple of mistakes you see the common? Let's talk about the entrepreneurs that are watching this and they're just starting out. Let's say this is the first year of entrepreneurship. Where should they start? Let's kind of address that type of a crowd for a quick second.
Well, number one, you need a memorable domain for sure. And you need to focus on what do I do with the leads when I get them? Because getting leads is mindlessly easy. Like we're in the golden age. I'm going to say it because every time I say this, I'm wrong. And it just means that things are good. It can't possibly get any easier than this, than we've got it right now. There's no way. And so I've officially declared that, which means every time I do it, I'm wrong and something cool comes out and it gets even easier for us. But good God, like getting leads is mindlessly simple. So I would be very cognizant of, okay, I need to follow up with these leads a lot. So I got a lead and I sent them an email. Okay, welcome to like not making any money. You need to get a lead and send them like 25 emails, text them, call them, or have someone call them, and continue doing that until they say no. And that's the single biggest thing. In terms of what we're doing right now, the number one thing that'll trip people up is, well, should I do video or should I do audio? And I don't have any followers, and they care about that. You don't need to care about that. It doesn't matter. I'll show you how to get this content in front of the perfect people for like pennies. I think we'll do that tomorrow or the next day, depending on the feel of like how our speed is going, and what we're accomplishing at our cadence level. But you don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Frank, I was paying attention. I was looking at the phone as these questions were coming in. Someone asked if you could put up the assignment slide, which is simply getting a domain, I believe. There it is. Okay, awesome. So we're not doing the raise hands method for this workshop. What I want you to do, all of you that have questions, is post the questions in the Facebook streaming. And I see the first question here, Frank. Nick Daugherty is asking, for a solopreneur, can we use our Facebook personal profile, parentheses, more organic reach, or do we need a business page, less organic reach? And also the GHL social planner only works with the business pages. So where should we first start off as a stepping stone? Is it the personal branding or is it the business branding? Like, what are your thoughts?
I would definitely get a business page immediately. Yeah, because you're a business. It doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur. You have to have a business page if you want to do stuff like run ads, which you should, even if they're cheap. You can get a lot out of a small amount of money, especially if you're serving a local market or something. But you need a business page. So yeah.
Yep. I think that's important too, because a lot of the platforms don't care for a person to be advertising like they're a business. These platforms are built for personal interactions, not necessarily to convert the personal profiles into business profiles. That's why they have the pages. Like Facebook is very notorious now on shutting you down if you just throw up a bunch of decals about you running your business as a personal profile. And it's understandable because they have a certain goal for the platform, and that's why they have the pages. So I think even from a consumer standpoint, if I see a business owner that's kind of in how do I say this? They're violating the rules of business in a sense by personally leveraging themselves, right? Like you can't go to dinner and ask everybody to just buy your stuff. It just doesn't feel good, right? It's not the practice of business. And that's kind of how I look at Facebook profiles versus pages. One is meant to be personal, and you should keep it that way. So let's see. Gerald's asking, what is a question we should ask our customers to get the info we can use to make good content for them. So the question is around servicing the customers.
I wouldn't, because you have Answer the Public, and it's going to have a lot larger data pool than, I've got these 12 customers. I'm going to ask them, and then they're going to give me this, like, whatever their answer may be, that it's not a big enough data sample to be of any statistical significance. So I would use Answer the Public, because it's just going to tell you, hey, here's what people are asking. Dude, someone's able to draw on the screen. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's
Can you see it?
Yep, I see it. I'll go ahead and turn that off.
If that were me, I would immediately be drawing inappropriate things. So if you were attempting to, good for you. That's hilarious.
So the next question here is, let's see. I want to know how to get going on a limited budget and need to get the revenue. So do you have an idea of what we will be doing as far as, are we going to be running ads to this? Is it going to be more organic? Like what are some ways a budget should be allocated for client acquisition?
I would assume that a person who's asking that kind of question is going to be operating in a local market. If you're not, I would strongly advise it. And I'm also assuming that you're you have your own GHL agency, and that's the context that we're answering this in. So I would spend as much as you can, but I wouldn't exceed $5 per day per post. So there is a formula. So the max well, not really the max, but like a minimum effective spend on this is going to be 7 posts at $5 per day each, which is $35 a day. So that's where I would start with this particular method.
Got it. Okay, so a few more questions. How can we receive the snapshots and the bonuses? So I'm going to make it a whole lot easier for everybody here. All you have to do is go to gohighlevel.com/GHL resources. You will be able to access our public Google Drive for our customer base, and our teams manage it. And within there, go to the monthly workshop, and you'll see Frank Kern's folder in there. And I've got a Google Doc with the snapshot link, as well as 3 Loom videos Frank and his team recorded earlier. That'll give you instructions of how to install the funnels that Frank's giving you. All that is completely free to you. If you're brand new watching this and don't even have a high level account, make sure you jump into the 30-day trial that's being provided for this workshop, which you're not going to find anywhere else, and take advantage of it. That's gohighlevel.com/GHL resources. If someone could just type that in the comment so we can pin it later, I appreciate it. So a couple of more questions that are coming in, Frank. So guys and gals, you're not going to get access to Frank Kern that often, just FYI. So put your questions down. I want to make sure we go into day 2 very prepared, and you understand everything that is coming around it. So Francisco is asking, he said, Senor Frank, you said that written content is outperforming the video content. In your opinion, why do you think that's happening in today's time?
Well, I have no idea. And it's only for me. So I can't, make a global statement and be like, hey, this is the state of social media. But I have found that my written posts, for the purpose of what we're doing, not like getting likes or comments or anything, but for the purpose of what we're doing, which is providing content, which ultimately has the goal of getting someone to do something, I get more of the do somethings from written content than video. And it might just be because, my videos aren't any good. I don't know. But I don't really care, because it's like, okay, here's the data. And again, I really, just like I should walk around the block for 30 minutes a day, I should be doing a lot more written content. I just haven't, because I don't want to. And I have the luxury of having years of video that I can just have someone go and turn into posts for me. And that's really me being lazy and dumb. So don't be lazy and dumb like me.
Dante's asking, a memorable domain. should it match the branding name for the social medias or the agency?
No, not necessarily. As long as it's easy for someone to remember, that's it. So it should be like centered around what they want to do, kind of like the examples that we came up with together during this. And that's it, you know.
Okay, awesome. So Frank, what are we going to learn tomorrow for day 2, and what are some things that we should be aware of coming into day 2 tomorrow?
So tomorrow's going to be easy. We are going to make several posts. I would like it if y'all had access to Canva or something. I have a lot of Canva templates I'm going to give you, because each post is going to have a graphic, which is going to just be words and stuff. We're not going to make anything fancy because I tested it. Words and stuff work better for the graphic of your post. And I'm going to show you the framework that the actual written content follows. And we're going to use Go High Level's posting scheduler thingy, it's the technical term, to not only schedule and make these posts for us, but also write them, which is why on the page here, well, my mouse won't show up, but step number 4 there is write a 1 or 2 sentence draft for a social media post, like literally just like a sentence or 2. And then we'll get High Level's writer to write the actual post for us, and we'll make a couple of edits and we'll post it. And we'll do that several times. And then we'll move on to day 3, unless like that proves to be super easy. And then we can maybe get into like going ahead and turning these into ads. We'll see how it goes. You know, the number one thing that stops people is feeling behind or feeling overwhelmed. So I just want to make sure that everybody is able to actually follow along. So that's my preference for number 2, for day number 2. It's like to get these things done. So you're like, oh, that was nothing. Okay. Now that fear is gone. And then we can expand them on day 3.
Absolutely. And Frank, I know today we talked a lot about structuring the content, that the fundamentals of marketing in general. Where is the AI component? Like, what's the role of AI in this workshop? And help me kind of just understand that, so that way I can expect the right things for tomorrow or day 3.
All right. So we're able to, man, my damn mouse is being uncooperative. I can't escape my full page. Okay. This right here. All right. Write a 1 or 2 sentence draft for social media posts. So like literally like write a 1 or 2 sentence. So we're not even writing this draft with the idea that we're going to post it on social media. What we're going to do is we're going to Go High Level's content or social media planner, and we're going to use its content writer to write the post for us based on that 1 or 2 sentence draft. So we're going to paste that thing into the writer, your draft, and then we're going to make a couple of selections, and we're going to press go, and we're going to get something back that's pretty good. It won't be perfect, maybe, but it probably won't be like absolutely perfect, because AI is not meant to replace us. And then we'll just make a couple of tweaks to what that thing wrote for us, and we'll hit publish.
Well,
That's where we're
okay.
going to use the AI. Yeah. And within the context of tomorrow, once we get to what happens when they see the post and they respond to it, we'll use a little bit of automation and AI to do stuff like extract their email address, figure out if they want to book a call with you, get them to book a call with you. And that's all in the snapshots I've given you. But for the sake of like what we're about to do, so like we don't go off the rails, you know, just we're going to paste some stuff and press a button in High Level and get it to do most of our work for us.
Okay, sounds good. And those of you that might have joined a little late and you're still on the fence about High Level in general, again, I've got some questions here that I got from people about the 30-day trial. I'm going to go ahead and post the link to the workshop trial. So you do get a 30-day trial, just, completely for free. You can go to gohighlevel.com/Frank workshop offer, and you can take advantage of it. You also will get the snapshots, the funnels Frank created, and we're going to go through leveraging some of the AI components to it. So if that's all we need to cover today, Frank, let's go ahead and close up shop for now. And tomorrow we'll start same time, 12 o'clock Eastern. And we're going to probably have a lot more things to cover, but do the homework, y'all. Frank, anything they should have when it comes to preparing for tomorrow?
It would be helpful if you set up a Canva account. I think it's free, like whatever the thing we're going to be doing. I'm just going to give you some templates you type, so it's just this very simple graphic template, and have a high level account. So take the trial because they have this tool, which is we're going to use their AI content tool to actually create our social media post and post it and schedule future ones for us. So I would have those two things. And tomorrow's going to be easy. Yeah, well, to me, it's easy. Like I'm sure we can find a way to overcomplicate it, but it's like if we just sort of keep the guidelines on, then we won't. And you'll see it'll all come together as we just do each of these little chunks.
Okay. All right. Well, looking forward to it. We'll see you tomorrow for day 2. And what we're going to do is open up chapter 2 of how we're going to actually launch this whole thing and do the homework. If you, just in case, maybe if you caught some of it in the latter half, we will have the replays posted inside the YouTube channel. So take a look at it and watch the replays there. But anyways, have a good rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, y'all.
Bye.